Hey guys, Preston here. Welcome back to another video. Sorry about the dryer running in the background, and sorry this video is getting out so late. I've had a pretty hectic week, but the preview still happens regardless. You won't see Notre Dame previews or post-game stuff for this week or next week due to COVID shutting down the Notre Dame for a couple weeks, so won't get any game stuff from them. But we do get to preview the Texans-Steelers matchup for this week real quick with the injury report. I have it pulled up just so we can know who's in and who's out for this upcoming game. The Steelers are a full go. No one was listed as injured as of Friday. I'm recording this Friday night. It'll be up Saturday. But everyone who had limited or didn't participate at some point during the week was all full participants on Friday. So Juju with his knee thing's good to go, etc. Everyone's good to go except the obvious Steven Wisniewski and Zach Banner, who are both Banner's out for the year. Wisniewski's going to be sidelined for at least 3 weeks with the IR, if not longer, probably longer. So, but everyone else is good to go. The Texans still have some questions. I don't know their whole injury history, so I don't know if people are already out. But for the most part, they're relatively healthy. Randall Cobb and J.J. Watt did not practice Friday, but those appear to probably be veteran days. They have 3 guys listed as questionable. Duke Johnson with an ankle injury, who was limited in practice all week. Peter Kalimbai, an inside linebacker. I don't know if he's depth or a starter, but he's also been limited all week. And Kenny Stills with an illness was limited Friday. They're all listed as questionable. Obviously, not having Duke Johnson or Kenny Stills, even Peter, those are pretty big losses. I mean, especially Duke takes away their two-headed running back kind of thing they love to run, and Kenny Stills is obviously a decent wide receiver for them when they're kind of a balanced wide receiver room with not one true star. Taking one of the balanced guys away would probably hurt a little bit. Game-wise, the Steelers have a 65.5% to win on ESPN's FPI. This game is at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sunday on CBS. The Steelers are currently 2-0, and the Texans are 0-2. Granted, they've played debatably 2 of the best teams in the league in the Chiefs and Ravens. The Steelers have a slightly easier road going against the Giants and a banged-up Broncos team. So this is a really questionable game. I mean, I would love for the Steelers to be able to start off 3-0 for the first time in a long time, it feels like. But Pittsburgh's relatively considered. We've started slow for a while now. I will say this will definitely be the toughest game they've had all year so far. Obviously, the Giants and a very injured Broncos team got nothing on this Houston team. And obviously, I think what the Steelers are going to have to do to capitalize and get this game done for them is the pass rush. This is the most blatant matchup that we have here. This is the most obvious mismatch, is that Houston offensive line that actually leads the league in pressures given up so far, going against the Steelers defensive line, which leads the league in pressures forced so far. I mean, obviously, the Steelers have led the league in sacks 3 years in a row. They blitz more than anyone. They're creative with it, and they have all-pro players and Pro Bowl players on that defensive front, and I think it's going to present a huge problem for this Texans team here. Watson is going to be under constant duress, if you ask me, so it's going to be harder for him to do his job. Obviously, he's the best quarterback we've played, so don't expect him to be fully shut down. I'm sure he'll make some plays with his feet, too, and avoid some of the sacks, but we should get consistent pressure. And it'll be more, I think this defense needs to tone it down a bit. They've been really committed to blitzing like crazy, almost overdoing it, blitzing like 60% of the time, which is kind of left at the secondary off on its own, and it hasn't led to much success. I think this is a game where you can take advantage of the fact that you should still be able to get consistent pressure just rushing your front 4. I mean, if you think about it, even for good O-lines, it'd be hard to stop T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, Cam Hayward, and Stephon Tuitt. So I don't think there's an extra need to send our slot corner or a safety on these blitzes that often. I think we're a better bet of actually playing a bit more in coverage this time, because Watson's obviously a very good quarterback. The run game's a little suspect. I mean, Johnson's okay, but our defense has proven we can shut run games down. And so I'd look for them to try to pass more often. They got real fast guys, Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller, or speed dudes in that wide receiver room. And might be able to look to dink and dunk, just pick us apart. So I really hope they give the secondary more help this week. So furthermore, with that Texans offense, like I said, Duke Johnson's been decent, nothing great. He's also, David Johnson, sorry. And then, like I said, their second running back, Duke Johnson, is also listed as questionable, which isn't great. Even if he does play, it means he's been limited all week, which isn't great when it comes to, being fully prepared for the game. So They'll have to. I think their best bet is those short routes in the middle and getting their tight ends involved. I think picking. That's usually where the Steelers' defense has had its biggest problems, is going against tight ends and people across the middle. Brandon Cooks had himself a field day last week. Granted, most of those were kind of in what felt like garbage time, where it didn't seem like they really had a chance to win that game towards the end of it. But he's someone to look out for. He's might be the best wide receiver they have. I like Will Fuller being a Notre Dame guy, but if we're being honest, his hands are suspect at times still, and he's always kind of banged up. So we'll see how that goes. For the Steelers defense, like I said, maybe go all out blitzing a little less this time. You could probably afford to play a little more conservative, get back more to your style last year. Let your secondary do their jobs. Hopefully they can they've been miscommunicating a couple times, which has led to some bad plays. Hopefully they can get it together. Got to limit the penalties. Penalized like 8 times last week. I swear we had like 4 or 5 pass interference calls. We single-handedly, our defense on penalties gave the Broncos 6 first downs last week, which is unacceptable. You can't let an offense extend the drive like that. That is the only reason the Broncos were in that game. So hopefully this defense can get it back into gear and really shut down this Houston Texans team. Don't make mistakes that give them free yards. Really shut them down, and I think this defense is capable of having a big impact Sunday. Offensively, for the Steelers going against this Texans defense, the Texans defense is okay, but clearly they have some issues. The Ravens ran for over 200 yards, I believe, on them last week, which is definitely an issue. Our running backs aren't as good, but I think James Conner and Benny Snell should be able to run pretty effectively this game. I think that's something the Steelers' offense will always look to get going, and if they can get it going, it's a good sign for the Steelers. Usually, anytime we have a 100-yard rusher, we're usually winning these games. And so far, each week we have had one with Benny Snell in week 1 and James Conner in week 2. Look for Conner to be the bell cow this game unless he goes down. They might rotate it up a little bit, but Benny Snell's been fumbling the ball too much, and hopefully he clears that up. The rest of that, receiving-wise, these Texans corners aren't great, so they might try to play more zone, and Big Ben should hopefully know how to take advantage of that. I think you could expect our guys to be able to get open somewhat easily. I mean, Bradley Roby's pretty decent. Bradley Roby is pretty decent at corner, and he'll probably shadow someone. He might shadow Juju the whole time. But from what I've heard, Deontay and Big Ben have been working really hard in practice to get their chemistry going. I mean, Deontay's already top 2 in targets in the league, but they got to make him connect more. From what Deontay was saying in interviews, pretty much every ball Big Ben threw in practice Thursday and Friday was heading his way. And so hopefully that means that connection is really getting established. Deontay's very good at getting separation from his corners. If him and Ben can start connecting, expect Deontay to really have a field day against some of these defenses, especially defenses with a weaker secondary like the Texans have. Points per game, just so far through 2 weeks, the Texans average 18, with the Steelers averaging 26, and points allowed, that Texans defense has given up 33.5 points per game right now compared to the Steelers' 18.5. I think this is a favorable matchup for the Steelers. Like I said, obviously I'm a little worried because Deshaun Watson is a guy that can keep your team in the game no matter what. But I think as long as the Steelers' offense can keep the mistakes to a minimum, and no interceptions, and definitely no fumbles, Benny Snell, and the defense can make the plays they're supposed to and be more disciplined, we should be able to walk away with a win here. I don't know if it'll be don't expect a blowout or anything. I think this Texans team is probably better than their 0-2 record, and obviously they're going to come out super motivated, not wanting to be 0-3. So I'd say it's a 4-point spread, by the way, in case you were interested. The Steelers are 4-point favorites. I would say something like 24-13. We might win bigger than that, but I still don't have this offense has been shaky and the play calling's been very suspect, but I think this defense is more than capable of holding this game down for us. So I think we win 24-13 if I'm being conservative here. I guessed under last time too for my Notre Dame prediction. They won like 52-0, I guess like 38-10. So hopefully we win by bigger than 24-14. Or 13, sorry, 24. Yeah, 24-13. I'm going 13. Touchdown, 2 field goals. It seems like something our defense is definitely capable of. As long as, like I said, offense got to limit the turnovers. Ben played pretty good last week, but he also had some interesting things. There's a dropped pick by that Bronco defense and a pick that was caught by that Bronco defense. He's got to limit some of those mistakes. Overall, a good year so far. Already has 540 yards for 5 touchdowns and a pick. Watson actually has 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, so maybe our defense can get an actual interception for once. Our corners are secondary, because week 1, our picks were both by T.J. Watt, the linebacker, and Cam Hayward, the defensive lineman. And week 2, Joe Hayden did get a pick, but it was off a deflection. So maybe we can get just a straight-up pick this time. Hopefully we can see Minka start to make some plays. He's been relatively quiet. In fact, he had like 2 pass interferences on him last week, so he's been performing possibly below expectations. So let's hope for him to step up. And yeah, guys, let me know how you think this game's going to go. I kind of view it as a little bit of a trap game. I'm definitely not taking this Texans team lightly, especially the way, to me, Pittsburgh always seems to make games that they should win easy. They love to keep opponents in the game, so it should be probably a typical stressful as crap Steelers game on a Sunday afternoon. So either way, I got the Steelers winning, hitting 3-0 for the first time in what seems like a while. Might be able to be the lead of the division if the Chiefs are able to get it done versus the Ravens on Monday night. So yeah, once again, X factors real quick on that Bronco defense. Obviously, that Texans defense. My X factor obviously has to be TJ. Mixing up the Watt brothers, JJ Watt. He had a pretty good game last week, and I'm sure the Watt brothers as a whole are going to be extra motivated to play this week. This is the first weekend all 3 brothers will get to be on the same field together. Obviously at different times with but you know what I mean. They'll all be in the same game together. So I expect JJ to probably kill it. He's either going to be going against David DeCastro in his first game back from injury, which has caused him to miss a lot of practice, including stuff in the offseason, or the rookie Kevin Dotson, who, while he gave up no pressures last week, and a very solid first career start against Jarrell Casey. Obviously, J.J. Watt's a different animal, and it'd be tough to expect anyone to stop him completely, especially a rookie. So that's something to look out for. That's probably a big matchup that does Texans defense will want to utilize, because if J.J. Watt can disrupt Ben, it could cause us some problems on offense. The Texans' offensive X factor, I mean, it has to be Deshaun Watson. Obviously, with Hopkins gone, they're not as deadly as they once were, so there's a lot more, even more is on Watson's plate this time, but he definitely has the skills to make plays that other guys wouldn't be able to and keep his team in the game. Steelers' defensive X factor, I'm going to have to go, I think Devin Bush needs to step up a little bit. I mean, he's been a solid guy. He's getting plenty of tackles, but his coverage, challenge him to improve that even more. Obviously, Noah Fant exposed him a little bit in a couple plays last week. So if he can really shut down these Texans tight ends or anyone coming across the middle, that'd go a long way for this defense, limiting this Texans offense. Offensively for the Steelers, I'm gonna go James Conner. Like I said, the Ravens running backs were able to run all over this Texans defense, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire also had over 100 yards against this Texans defense. It seems like they've had a hard time stopping running backs recently, and so look for James Conner. If he can get over 100 yards, that's a long way and a big sign that the Steelers could get a win. Like I said, most of the time when the Steelers are hitting 100 yards rushing, it's more than likely a win for this Pittsburgh team, especially with the defense we have. So hopefully on the back of very good defense and a solid run game, chewing up clock and maintaining, getting that time of possession in our favor, we can walk away with a win and be 3-0. So there we go, guys. Thank you for watching. Let me know how you think the game's going to go. Comment your score predictions below. Feel free to disagree or agree with me on anything in the comment section. I will gladly reply and we can have a discussion about it. This is K-May Preston signing out. Go Steelers.